So we're here with Neil Warnock, manager of High Flying Queen's Park Rangers, and I didn't think I'd be saying that, Neil, because after all, I'm sure you made out, what, a year ago, that Crystal Palace would be your last job. I mean, you've managed, well, it's probably easy to say which clubs you haven't managed in football over the years, and here we are, gone 60, 61, doing really well in the Championship. Your journey in life and in football, you couldn't make up, could you?
No, it's been a fabulous time, and I've really, if anything, Crystal Palace really gave me the buzz again. I came down to London. I thought for the last 40 odd years, 50 odd years, that anywhere past Watford was beyond, you turned into a stone. And you came down to Palace, and we enjoyed London, enjoyed Palace. The fans were brilliant, the crowd was good on top of you. And it was just a super place, and disappointed last year when we lost the point, because in fact we'd beaten Blackpool 4, I think, and we quite fancied ourselves only a point outside the playoffs. So it was a blow, that. But when things turned bad, and I made sure that Palace got the compensation for what QPR when they came in for me, and I've really enjoyed its stability. I think I was the 4th or 5th manager last year. The fans were pleased to see me. And they've reacted in the right way. Well,
it's a great story, Neil, because I mean, I'd almost class you as a professional northerner. Born in Sheffield, you played for 8 clubs, and they're all virtually Chesterfield and Hartlepool and Sheffield.
Player of the Year in Hartlepool.
All of
1972.
There we go. What position were you, by the way, Neil?
I was a right winger.
Right, now 326 appearances, I think.
That's right.
Not about 30 odd goals.
Very much so. When I was telling the lads the other day, when they asked me to describe myself, I was very quick and brainless. Rotherham, they used to say, open the gates and Warnie will run out.
What type of a player were you, Neil? Because you were very much a lower league player. Were you the sort who maybe didn't maximise your potential, or actually were you fairly average and got the best out of yourself?
Very much so. I think to play 326 games with my ability was an achievement. So I was delighted, really. I enjoyed it. I was a winger. I loved crossing balls and goals going in, and I like that as a manager. I like tackles, and I like people to please the fans. I like crosses and oohs and ahs. Just how it's always been football. I'm not really one for watching England, passing 40 times to get to the halfway line. Not my cup of tea, really.
Now, as a manager, likewise, I mean, you've managed so many clubs. It's unbelievable, really. And I guess you could say that it's a compliment that you've been in such demand for so many years, and here you are now, 61. You're as we speak, riding high in the Championship. I guess after all those years and all those clubs and all those games, I mean, you're in a very elite group, aren't you, Neil, of the 1,000 club. There's not many of you. There's yourself and Fergie, and not too many. You must have picked up a few things in your time.
Yeah, very well. I mean, it's all about really experience. I look at my career, really. I mean, the only time I've been out of work since 1968 as a player or a manager, I had 6 weeks out when I left Sheffield United, which isn't a bad record, really. I mean, my wife often says she hopes, why haven't I got the sack so that I can get a good payoff, and like other managers. But I've been pretty good at the job, to last like that long, and I've really enjoyed it. And even though I thought I was going to pack in at 55, I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying the enthusiasm. And London, it's just like being on holiday every day for me. I see different places with the kids, the Richmond, where we live near there, and the river and everything. It's an amazing place.
It's taken you a long time to work that out, Neil.
Absolutely. It's, and like I said, I used to sneak down the train now and then. But now, living down here, I appreciate how nice it is.
Now, your image, I mean, you're like Marmite. People love you, people hate you. I think the media loves you because you're not afraid to well, you're not afraid to speak your mind, and sport needs people speaking their minds. But what do you think? Do you think it's been a hindrance, or it's helped you? Because you've had a lot of clubs, but not any really big clubs. Maybe Sheffield United, you could argue, and QPR. What do you think, looking back, if you could live your managerial career again, would you change anything?
Well, I was offered the Chelsea job.
Well, that's not too bad, is it?
In the 90s, now I know, but I stayed faithful to a group of players that I'd just taken up, and I felt morally obliged to. Nowadays, I mean, whether managers feel morally obliged, I'm not sure now, because the moral is about 12 months later I got the sack. So I think it's always stood me in good stead. That I'm not really. I think the only club I've left has been Crystal Palace, and there were good reasons for that. You know, to go back to Palace last year and get a good reception from the fans, I was really pleased with that.
Let's address that point, Neil. You know, some argue that maybe you would have got more big jobs, although as you say, you did get off at Chelsea after all. But you're too much of a hot potato for chairman and for clubs.
Well, I think that's right. I mean, the number of clubs I've had, I've always left because I fell out with the chairman on 4 or 5 occasions.
Can he just not bite your tongue sometimes?
Well, no, it's not that. It's, if people lie to me, then I finish with them. You know, they don't get 2 opportunities.
A little known fact: you are indeed a qualified referee, are you not?
Yeah, and a chiropodist as well. So it's.
I'm not sure how the two tally together, but
yeah. Well, I used to enjoy refereeing. I mean, my dad was a top referee.
How top was top?
Well, he was Class 1. Okay. He used to referee in the Yorkshire League, which was a high league up where we lived. And I used to go and watch him, you know. But he'd be a good referee now because he was a manager. But he'd swear at them as well, and I mean, it wouldn't be allowed now. He was a good referee, and he was in control of both sets of players, but that's not enough nowadays. You have to please a lot of people looking in the stand and on computers and everything now. So it's a bit difficult now for referees, but I think the principle still stands. I still look at the manufactured referees and shake my head when I see some of the bookings and sending off from referees who haven't got a clue about the actual game, but know the laws inside out. And then I look at the other referees. There's a lot of good referees that aren't manufactured, like Howard Webb and Alan Wiley was, and people who've come up and played the game and seen how it is to deal with people and are not just looking for stardom. They're a breath of fresh air.
You're a big sports fan in general, aren't you? Which is not everybody knows. So, what sort of sports are you really into? Who do you admire, and what do you try and go and see when you've got a spare moment?
Well, I go to cricket. I go to the Oval at Lords as much as I can. I was present when Brodie got his 5 wickets against Australia, which was an amazing time. Yeah, I turned up then. There wasn't a wicket, and everybody says, "Oh, pathetic! This, there's not a wicket." And all of a sudden, after lunch, I was only one out. Everybody stayed in, and bang, bang, bang. Brodie got his 5 wickets.
It's a session that basically won the Ashes, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, it was fantastic. That. But I played tennis last week at the Queen's Club. I'm a love tennis fan, but I had a hip. Hip resurfaced the summer before last, and it's only just got back in. I'm really enjoying. It's almost like having a new lease of life, having a new hip. It's
really. So if you had like a sporting dinner party, Neil, I guess being a Blade, you'd have Tony Curry and his pomp maybe there, but you'd be quite happy to have, I don't know, maybe Federer and Freddie Flintoff or someone there as well.
I think Federer's outstanding. Really, I hate him at times. He's that good and. He's so cool and collective and never says anything controversial. Boring, isn't it?
A bit like you, isn't he?
Yeah, so boring. But I really respect him. I like Andy Murray, as I did Tin Henman. I think the English media have just can't wait to knock you down when you're like that. But they've been fantastic for the country, both of them. And I've really enjoyed watching them over the years as well. So I'm into all the golf. I love the Ryder Cup. Desperate looking forward to that in the next couple of weeks. So there's so many things going off, and it's nice to see. I even went round the island in the Isle of Wight to boat race a few years ago, which frightened me to death. But it was exhilarating. So I've tried my hand at most things.
So QPR, long way to go, obviously, in the season. Great start, great tradition. QPR are one of those teams that everybody seems to like, sort of like their second favourite team.
I think it's the name, isn't it? Queen's. I think Queen's Park Rangers. I always liked Crystal Palace at the same because of the name when I was a kid. And QPR has always, they've always sort of entertained, Stan Bowles and Rodney Marsh and that have you. So it is not, I made out my stall. I wanted to try and finish my career on a high, playing the game as I've always wanted to. And so, we're partly down that road, and I'm really enjoying my team. And irrespective of wins and losers, I think, we're in for an interesting season. And we've got as good a chance as anybody, but it's a tough league and it's a long one. So I don't get carried away just because we've started well.